ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Trey. No, you're Trey. I'm your host, Jay Carter. And the man that is always heard and never ever will be seen, Skeens. Better Than Your Average is the channel and the movement. How Did We Get Here is the show. We got two cousins that are like brothers, talking any and everything in the process. How did we get here? I want to thank y'all for tuning in with us for another episode. And as you can see, we have a very, 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 very special guest. The one, the only, my firstborn, Jeffrey Lewis Carter III, a.k.a. JC3, a.k.a. Trey Carter. Say what's up to the people.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, son. Welcome to the show. He's been on before, but we want to have him come on he's a much more older, mature man now. He just turned 9 years old. And y'all, he's gonna sit and chop it up with us a little bit. You know, we want to Skeens and I wanted to shoot this episode as our Father's Day, a salute to fathers, and talk some fatherhood type stuff and give some encouragement. But more importantly, I wanted to have again my representation, one of my representations, that is, of fatherhood, my son. So he actually has decided, we talked about this for a while, but he's decided to throw his hat into the content game, into the ring. So he's going to have his own YouTube channel. We did a quick little snippet that some of y'all may have seen. It's about 8 or 9 seconds. And 9 seconds? How many takes did we do, you think? About 20 takes, 20 takes, something like that. But we did about, 20 takes or so for him to shoot his just kind of his introduction. So what's the name of your channel?
Trey's Gaming and Adventures.
Trey's Gaming and Adventures. So if initially he was going to do a channel called The Adventures or Trey's Adventures, right? And, this one we were going fishing and different little things like that. But my man wasn't, too conscious about like taking his camera and trying to film and do all that kind of stuff. So now he's into gaming, playing Fortnite all day, every day with, with nieces and nephews and friends from all over the place. So it's going to be showing you, we're going to use Twitch, I guess, right, to do the gaming and record that. And then what else you planning on putting on there?
Maybe Roblox.
Roblox too? Okay. Cool. Okay. And what type of adventures you thinking? What's the adventures part going to be? Haven't really thought about it?
No.
So I'm thinking that the adventures part really is just going to be anything that you're doing outside of that. You know what I mean? It could be, maybe, we film some of, he'll be, we just signed up for soccer today. So maybe just filming some of your practices. You can show people that side of it. Going to urban air, you know what I'm saying? Or, just it could really be anything because you're going to be having content. People going to want to know what's going on with you. So again, we just at the fledgling and infant stage of that. And, we just wanted him to come on so he could get used to being in the hot seat like me and his goddad, and just chopping it up with y'all, getting some of his perspective as a 9-year-old man. So let's start here. How would you say that the school year was for you? You just finished up what grade? Third. Now, what's your reflections? I asked you this on the last day of school. Well, what was your reflections on third grade? The good, the bad, the challenging. What'd you learn overall?
How was it?
Yeah.
Good.
You said good, like what?
Maybe kind of good.
What makes it kind of, though?
Oh, people making fun of me?
So you had to learn how to deal with that part?
Yes.
How'd you feel about that when people were making fun of you? It made you feel some type of way?
No.
No? Sometimes, or what?
No.
You never felt any type of way when people were making fun of you? I mean, that's natural that you would feel some kind of way. That's a natural human response. The thing is, though, that which we talked about, is that you just got to navigate and learn that it's not about what people say about you. You got to know in your heart your own worth and know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Would you say that's something that you learned?
Yes.
Okay. Now, sometimes did you make fun of people?
No.
You threw some jokes at folks.
Why
I'm just saying that's the reality. We all throw jokes at people, right? Yeah.
Throw jokes at me.
You throw jokes at God Dad all the time. You throw jokes at me all the time. Yeah, it's a part of it. It's just, it's the difference between when somebody is joking with you out of a place of being cool with you and really lighthearted, and then there's a difference when people, you feel like they joking on you to try to hurt your feelings, but that's a part of growing up and a part of life. How would you say that you did as far as your grades and stuff like that?
good?
You did good. What'd you have to focus on this year? What was your most challenging subject?
Math.
So we had to lock down and focus on some math, and we spend a lot of time on your spelling words and stuff like that. That's parents out there. Y'all know sometimes working on them words, boy. And Trey, sometimes he get to the point where he's shut down. He's been studying him too long, and he just say something that don't make sense, But that's all part of the process. So now we're going into Father's Day, and really, there's something that God Dad, a part of it that he's going to talk about that inspired this episode. But a big part of this episode and inspiration for this really was you. You inspired me to want to shoot this episode today. You know why?
Why?
I'm glad you asked. I'm gonna steal from Uncle Eric. I'm glad you asked. So first and foremost, y'all, always mess with this dude because, again, the gift and the curse, the wonderful relationship that we have as a family as a whole, and with my in-laws, they've been, pivotal in us raising Trey and Jason. They stay literally a stone's throw or two away from us, maybe 3 to 5 minutes away. So our kids spend a lot of time over there. They help us watching them, and when Liz and I are at work. But the gift and the curse, everybody that knows us, is that Trey is usually at his pawpaw's house. He's over there hanging out. Pawpaw lets him have his room like it's his own little apartment and stuff like that. So just thankful to as we're talking about fathers, thankful of course to my mother-in-law, but my father-in-law done a lot for me, looked out for me over the years. But we always share with Trey when Liz and I are messing with him about not wanting to come home, is that the main reason that we bought this place that we staying in now is because she was pregnant with him. And so we, our first purchase, because hey, I'd have still been over in the bachelor pad in the 3-bedroom duplex, chilling, paying $650. I don't know what it is now, Skeen, but at that point it was $650, man. We was loving life. Or I'm tripping. No, that was the townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
The duplex was $8. Duplex was $800.
Something like that.
It was like $8, but still, you know what I'm saying. But so I always, just try to share with him that, big changes in the adaptations I made in life, we made in life as a couple, was because of him. So, I always mess with like, man, this house, we bought this house for you, because you were born. And just thinking of, Skeens and I were thinking about a lot of times fathers in media get such a bad rap, but oftentimes our perception of fathers or whatever it may be is not, we ignore what we know and what we see personally, and we go off of the sensationalized narrative that we see in the media. And so he and I were talking, and I had this conversation. We had this conversation a few years ago, but just wanted to reflect on how many great fathers do we know now. And as we sat and reflected and thought about it, the vast majority of our friend base that are fathers are great, involved, devoted, loving fathers. The vast majority. Like, there's no deadbeat dads in our circle. Like, none. Like, all of them are like locked in, doing homework, going to the sports, doing the whole nine, sacrificing, working, doing what they got to do. Even in the situations where there may be a separation or what have you between the mom and the dad, even those relationships are at solid places where they can still navigate that stuff with the children and everything. So, again, Trey, to tell you how inspirational you are to me as my son, and y'all, we getting ready to make a road trip to Ohio tomorrow. But Skeens, I was thinking about this when we were coming back from Oklahoma visiting my parents, and I'm driving like my wife is a driver and all that kind of stuff. But a part of my man stuff is I like to drive the family. That's part of my thing. Get my family where they need to go on these little road trips. But there was some point early on in the drive from Oklahoma. We're still in Oklahoma, but I just had the thought of all those drives that Pop made going to Houston, going to Arkansas, all the places my dad drove us. And I just remember how much I would watch him and all the little things he did from the back seat. When he used to wear them leather driving gloves, with holes, they had little holes and he had some leather driving gloves. How that Joker could eat a large fry from McDonald's in 32.5 seconds. And he would get what's the McDonald's burger? Why can't I think of a Big Mac?
Big Mac.
And he could knock that joint down and just be rolling, And so I was thinking in that moment and reflecting on that, and I look back and I see Trey and Jason, but I'm thinking, Trey, he's older, but what is his perception of me from the backseat? How does he see me?
Yeah.
What am I doing to positively impact his perception and model of what a father is?
Yeah.
What is the view of and that's a question for all of us as parents and fathers. What type of example are we setting? How do our children see us from the back seat?
It's deep.
How do they see us?
But also, as you say that, you're trying to navigate twofold, navigate on the road, as well as navigating being a father.
Absolutely.
While also trying to navigate how to raise a father.
Absolutely. Man, yeah, you just took it to another step. You know what I'm saying?
So it's still navigation.
Right. It's still
you're trying to pass along. You're trying to take over the wheel.
Right. Exactly.
But how do you make sure that he's able to navigate and be an adequate driver?
Absolutely. It's
so many aspects of
life.
It's
the how do we get here of fatherhood. It's the how did we get here of parenting. Again, y'all, we always talking about relationships. The relationship that we have with our children. How do they see that? How do they perceive us? How do they see our interactions with our wives and our spouses? Liz and I try our best where we don't get into it like that in front of the kids. We show them, try to show them a positive example of how to have dialogue and communicate. In our prayers at night, I'm praying, Lord, I pray that our family continue to grow in love, communication, and understanding. You know what I mean? Those are the things. Those are the examples I set. And we even show Trey the example that he is to his little brother in Jason's 2-year-old, not fully developed speech sometime, how he's trying to mimic the prayer that Trey says. You know what I'm saying? Our friends, our family, he tried to say the stuff to Trey and saying, we're showing how he looks up to you as his big brother. I think about how Jamel looked up to you. You know what I'm saying? That y'all back in the day when Skeens' little brother was a little guy, and they had that Mario commercial where he just said Mario. You know what I'm saying? I remember that kind of stuff. And I just was reflecting on that, y'all. And I just want to applaud and give fathers a pat on the back and a push that you're valid, you're important, you're necessary, you're needed.
Yeah.
Your face is needed, your voice is needed, your influence is needed, your encouragement is needed. Skeens and I were working on, we'll be doing a series. We'll probably make it into about, I say a series, maybe 2 or 3 episodes where we talk about the masculine journey. We're going to do a deep dive into Pastor McMillan, old book he wrote, The Seasons of Masculinity, the masculine journey.
Yeah.
And, because we want to show fathers and men that our masculinity is not just, again, in hero mode and provider mode. There's also a side where we can relate with our children when they're going through things a certain way. We can show them a more tender, sensitive side. Again, to be that example and help them to navigate those emotions and feelings. Like Trey was sharing with us, having to navigate when people start making fun of you and talking about, how do you navigate that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I could have gave him, man, you just go and smack a can. No, that's not the example. I want to teach him to be a thinking man, be thoughtful about his moves and stuff. Go ahead, Skeen.
And then also, as you say that, you want to. So I guess it's a fine line of trying to balance what he needs and what you think he needs from you.
Right. Yeah.
I think sometimes that get caught. We kind of lose sight of that, as you were saying. I can tell you this, but is that what he needs?
Right.
And like you said, we in our circle, and even not just in our circle. Sorry, I know so many great fathers. I can go back to even my roommates in college. My boy Zoe,
great. I don't even know his dad, but he had a great dad. I know that about him.
And I see what he does with his kids. I see my boy D, TJ that got married this year. Harold, all my different roommates, all are great fathers. Yeah. And so, and we're not just talking, and these are black fathers, but not even just black, because, as we talk about, our circle is very diverse.
Absolutely, yeah.
But, the soundtrack, especially as we talk about us being as black men, the soundtrack of a black father is that we're horrible as men. Yeah. We look at the guys in Memphis. Unfortunately, we was talking about 6 guys had had 83 kids.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
50 different women.
Yeah.
That becomes a soundtrack because that loud minority is what we hear.
Yeah.
And what's always amplified and portrayed and written and talked about, but no one talks about the guys that, like, you spend time with your kid. Mm-hmm. Even in this aspect, no one talks about these things. Mm-hmm. It's too often it's minimized, and because those people that's too busy doing the work and plowing to doing the work are not speaking up because they're too busy doing the work.
Yeah, making it happen.
But sometimes we have to take a break to let people know, hey, I'm present. Even when you're in school, what the teacher asks, hey, who's here, present.
Present and accounted for. Yeah, sure.
So we need more. We need more of that to be to take place, as well as, hey, I'm thankful to every black father that's out there that's doing the work and changing that narrative about us as people. And it needs to be applauded. Too often but yet we say that we want great black fathers, but we clown Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Why champion future?
Right. 100%.
But then you chase the future. Mm-hmm. You get future, you have another future's kids, and you become another future's baby mama. But that soundtrack about us is what's being played because you chose future and not Russell.
Right.
Because Russell is a square.
Right. Quote unquote. Yeah.
Hey, part of our uprising and healing is more squares.
Right. We got to make that popular. We got to make that cool.
And then you ask, what's a square? Is doing right a square?
Right. You got to change that whole narrative.
So we have to
tear
have
all that down.
We have to have a conversation and a reconstruction of what's considered cool and what's considered a square. Just because I have swag, is that more important?
Right.
Than taking care of my kid, taking care of my family? Because I speak the lingo.
Right.
Is that more important of being a man of my word? Because as a father, you are You are his example of being a man, and when you have daughters, you are their example of how to be loved.
There you go. 100%.
So
100%.
how much loving can I have? How much of a portrayal of love is going to be there when you, her are chasing after that same future?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's one of those things that we have to reevaluate and champion. Hey, it's cool. Hey, we can have a future, but we can also have a Russell.
Right.
We can have a Jay,
Mm-hmm.
and understand there is a balance, but don't minimize the contribution these other people are making just to amplify a culture of celebrity base that we're chasing these celebrities.
Right.
When you see people who are willing to jump out to leave their household chasing that star, that means that has diminishing or has no return of value. It's just a moment.
Right.
But that moment pass is like good music.
Right.
We can listen to Isley Brothers song from whenever,
right.
and
It's
they
timeless.
still tour
Yeah.
now.
It's timeless. Yeah.
That's what we got to look at. We need more substantial situations within our community to act. We need something to actually. We need building blocks to build.
Sure.
Like as I always say, you can't build a house on quicksand.
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's really no, it's really key and really important, man. And even to have my son interested in what we're doing, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's a feather in your dad cap and your godfather hat and stuff like that. Now, Trey, let me ask you, what is your 9-year-old opinion of me as your dad and as your parent? What kind of dad? Tell the people. Be honest. What kind of dad am I? Am I crazy? I be tripping too much? What's up?
Nice.
That's it.
Second.
You still thinking? If you get somebody came and say, Trey, what is your dad like? What is he like at home? What would you say?
He said, check ain't clear yet.
Go ahead.
He keeps me healthy.
Oh, okay. I try. This brother here, he be trying to book the health system sometime. What else?
You talk way more than this on Fortnite.
It's all good, y'all. He getting used to being on the camera, y'all. But no, I think. Let me help you out. I think that I'm a pretty cool dad. We we talk about music a lot, and again, another feather in my dad cap. I was in Sam's.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Lorraine was in Sam's, and she was like, man, every time we go somewhere, you know somebody. And Lorraine, shout out, that's my boss, y'all. But we tight. We always run around doing stuff. But so I saw one of Trey's best friend from school, Ricardo. I saw his dad, and I always forget my man. That's the music teacher, the art teacher. What's his name?
Mr. Recca.
Mr. Recca. So Mr. Recca, I could tell, got a little swag to him. He Trey hopped out the car one day with certain shoes. He said, oh, you got such shoes on. So I saw them and I spoke to them. And he was like, man, Trey, he's talking about, he's real handsome, man. He can be a lady killer, man. Then he was like, on top of that, and he said he was the girls in class bodyguard. I was like, oh, okay. Then he said, then he can rap too? Oh, man. So I guess he had seen some of Trey's a little rhyme, he had wrote. So he was like, so it was just cool, man. He in the hip hop, it's just little things that go into your dad's feather cap. I want him to have his own identity, of course. He loves music. He loves a little rap, but he likes a little, at one point he went through a phase, he like housey kind of techno-y kind of stuff. I'm like, whatever. He loves Juice World stuff. I'm like, some of the emo stuff, y'all, I'm like, pull the brakes on that. It's a little too emo. But he loves Silk Sonic, and he's eclectic. My father-in-law has him listen to rock and stuff, and then I got him over here on soul R&B. He loves Fred Hammond. At his end of year party at school, them kids sitting in the middle of the gym floor dancing to all this Kids Bop Kids stuff and the Bruno song, and I can't remember all these words. And then he come, Dad, will you go up there and sing some Fred Hammond? I'm like, this ain't. So we had a conversation too about reading the room and knowing your audience. I said, bruh, them kids ain't trying to hear no gospel Fred Hammond at that point of the party, man. So, we do a lot of cool stuff together, man. I try to do sometimes I feel like I come up shorter than, me and my dad did a lot of stuff together, but I try to mimic, all I'm doing is trying to improve on the model that Pops made, and whether it's us going fishing and, going out and kicking the ball or throwing the ball or, all that kind of stuff. But as I'm sitting here rambling, I wanted to just, give a shout out to my Pops, Jeffrey Lewis Carter Sr., both of our namesake. Dude was solid. And it's really big to me that when I talk to men that knew him like in the military, that know him a way that I don't, and now being 40 and being here and being able to talk with some of those guys, like, man, your dad was always stand-up guy, straight up and down, shout out to all of our uncles, rest in peace, Uncle Bud, David, Fred, rest in peace to Spoon. I think about my uncles on my pop side, RC, Robert, RC didn't have kids, but still, the Uncle Napoleon, Uncle Wayne, Uncle Jimmy, and Aunt Louise had brought this to my attention. Is like none of them dudes had a father figure like there, but all of them locked in. Shout out to just our peer group, Takuma, Dominic, Shannon, Eric. Y'all know I talk about Eric almost every episode, man. My mentor Marvin Williams, Joe Bird, it's Steve Bird, my man Sion. Sion is OD dad, shout out to his new, his son Jermaine just became a father. Shout out to my man Donnie Brasco, great father, great husband. And the list goes on and on and on. I could go on and on and on. Sherwin Tyner, Harry Brown, Ricky Page, Tim Young. I could go on and on and on. I could just keep going on all these champion fathers. And I've shared this with y'all before. Of course, because, again, rest in peace, Bishop Holcomb, a father to all of us. You know what I'm saying? John Wages. I'm just, I could go on and on and on and on and on. But I shared this, y'all, again, talking about the examples. It was easier for me to avoid the pitfalls that were becoming popular in our time frame, especially with by way of the music, the culture, whether it was, gang culture and stuff like that, just the culture of violence, being in the street life. It was easier for me to avoid those pitfalls because of the example I had in my home. And then I didn't feel the pressure to achieve success through those levels because there was dudes right at arm's reach of me that were successful that didn't do it that way. And their level of success was being legit, working hard, starting businesses, and being devoted to their family. So that was my model and is my model for success. Here's the other part. We'll throw this in, y'all. The journey, the masculine journey, the fatherhood journey, the marriage and relationship journey is not one that will not have pitfalls and shortcomings. There will be mistakes along the way. But the goal and the how did we get here is that hopefully we can say from those mistakes that I made there, I learned and I've matured now.
Yep.
And then I can again be that example to him and then those around me.
Yep.
I've had my own share of struggles. I've had my own missteps and mistakes.
Yep.
Missed the mark. But I can say here as I sit as a man, me and my wife been together this year. Total will be 20 years. 9-year-old, 2-year-old, 40 years old. I can definitely say that I have matured.
Yeah.
And I've passed a lot those pitfalls I had before and those things with my ego and sometimes being in places I shouldn't have been. Doing stuff I should have been doing. You know what I'm saying? I can say now that I've matured, and learn those lessons, and by way for me, increasing my faith and my prayer and my trust in God, and then really just locking in and plugging in with my family is what I'm all about. This is it, being with this dude, being with my wife, being with our family. Skeens can tell you, man, it's just sitting here watching Star Wars, eating some chicken wings. Cup is full. Cup is running over. You know what I mean? So I implore you guys to give that level of attention, that level of care, that level of dedication to your children, your family, your significant other.
Yep.
And again, fathers, you are important.
Yep.
You are needed. The dynamic of man and woman in the family unit is necessary. It's needed. And, we can be guys that leave. And Skeens and I talked about this, we talk about everything, is that I've reconciled in my brain, again, as I age and get closer to the other side, wherever it is, you know what I mean, that my primary goal now is to make the necessary investments and plant the necessary seeds. And I've reconciled in my brain, I'm not going to see all of that come to fruition, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine now. A part of my maturity is that I wanted to see all of my seeds come to fruition. I want to see all of them grow into trees and produce fruit, but that's not necessarily my goal. And I think my mission is to, again, plant.
Yeah.
If I see it in my lifetime, beautiful, but I don't have to.
Yep.
Because the greats that came before us, they didn't see it.
Yep.
And I think that's something that we have to change about our thing. Go ahead. I'm going to let you close, Skeens.
And also, as you said, you talk about maturity, right?
Yeah.
I think we also need to be mature enough to understand that he may be a great father, but he may lack in other areas. He may not be a great husband. He may not have been the person for you at that moment.
Right.
He may not be a great employer or employee, but he can still be a great father.
Yeah.
So we have to understand how to take that and lead with that as his calling card. Mm-hmm. Instead of looking at what didn't work between the two of you all, mm-hmm. and allowing that to hold more weight than the big picture, which is your children.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the uplifting of those. Of the children.
Yeah.
So that takes that maturity that you're talking about,
right,
to understand that, hey, we didn't work together, but we worked together for our kids.
There you go. Yep.
That's it.
As I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going to let Trey close, and I'm going to close. But again, I shout out to our unofficially official third co-host.
Great father.
Kai Phoenix. Great father. Great. I mean, it some of these dudes are so devoted to their families, man. It's just, I'm way more emotional than Skeens, but I can just sit back and get teary-eyed thinking about it, how blessed we are to have these guys plugged in. Shout out to other homies from the Man's You podcast, Gregory Gray, LaFrance Hartman, book. I can't think of my great fathers. They're everywhere around us.
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere. Let's champion them. Let's make it cool to talk about these. Let's make it cool, man. Trey, we're gonna let you close out. You got any? You've been listening to me and Goddad talk here for about 30 minutes. You got any parting thoughts for the kids or for dads out there? Anything you want to say to the dads?
Happy Father's Day. Have a good Father's Day.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you one last question. Why do you think? Why is it important to you for me to be a good dad?
So I can become a good dad.
Good, I like that, man. I'm gonna close with this, man, and we love y'all, man. We do, truly. We love each and every one of you. Y'all know me and Skeens. Y'all need to tap in with us. You want to have a conversation, a dialogue. You know, anybody, we here. You know, but we love you, man. Again, you necessary, you need it. I'm gonna keep saying it, but this hit home for me the other day, and again, it's talking about how I mature and how I balance my seasons of masculinity. So the other day, Trey was at the house. They were at the house, and the alarm went off. And Liz tell me, oh, the alarm went off. Da 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 da. Trey was playing the game. He ran in here, and it just so happened that however, the door had like popped open or something, but when Trey was looking for Liz, she was actually in the backyard watering my garden or whatever, So when he went looking for her, she wasn't there. So he really, to hear that alarm going off, it shook him up. So when I came home, he was like, Daddy, did Mommy tell you about the alarm? And Liz and I always mess with him that he thinks he's telling me something new, but I'm like, me and your mama talk about everything. We talk all day, every day. So yeah, she told me about it. And so again, y'all watch this. In the masculinity piece, where I'm learning, I'm coming off to him like, man, why was you scared, man? Because I'm always, man, this is your house. You ain't got to be scared in your house. I'm like, man, what was you scared of? Boy, that little alarm scared you, da 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 da. And he said, Daddy, it messed with me because I keep thinking about that alarm going off. And he looked at me, he said, and you weren't here. He said, you weren't here. And in that small moment, I really understood, again, balancing my masculinity and understanding that him as a 9-year-old young man, where he positions and looks for me as his protector, as his dad, as his father. He said, Dad, you weren't here. I was scared. And in that moment, I had to make that check mark and then understand what I represent in his life to him as his dad. So anyway, y'all, it's been another episode of How Did We Get Here? Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We love you. We want to continue the conversation, to build this community, man, this beautiful community, this beautiful large family. But happy Father's Day out there to y'all. We send y'all love, peace, and blessings. I'm your host, Jay Carter, and the man that is always heard and never, ever will be seen, Skeens.
You.
And our special guest that'll be coming back to talk a little bit more next time, Trey Carter.
Goodbye.
And we will holler at y'all on the next one. Peace.